pick and ban, and we see the Taric ban coming out here right away. And my real question is here, what is ASBG Esports going to do in terms of ban? As again, they go for the Corki ban here. And considering how that match went, I don't think we expect either team to not go for a scaling composition here again, because it does look like they're very comfortable on it.
You touched on it during the replays that we almost can't see that combo of Shen and Alistair both going over. The first thing that gets target banned based on the last game is going to be the Nico taken away from T-Doggy.
And there is the Shen ban. Good call there. J Park having a great performance on that. I know that J Park plays a couple of other champions as well, and I'm hoping we're getting to see any of them. You know, Garen, a Teemo. I'm not even joking here. Garen is actually quite stronger at the moment.
I feel like Cottontail Teemo over Easter is, you know.
I know that
right?
Picking Teemo is really risky when you're up a game in a best-of series. You know, that's the kind of stuff that Nightmares are made of. But out of when you're facing it, when you're playing it, honestly, as we see the Jinx taken away, love that. And I think it's got to be something big here. I would not mind a Kai'Sa first pick coming out.
Don't let the name tags fool you. The teams have swapped sides of the Rift. We do see Beyond Reality now on the blue side with this first pick, and they're going straight in for the Evelynn that was used to great effect in the last game.
I respect that as well. I feel like Mixays, as we said, it's kind of expected that you don't really see the Evelynn having a big impact early game, but let's not forget it were the big moments, the engages that he was able to find. And we see Tahm Kench being locked in once again.
Let's see what they decide to put alongside this. Will they opt for the Ezreal? Will they steal the Kai'Sa away from Sir Kemzo?
I wouldn't mind it. I think that it wasn't really DCD's problem here, that on the Ezreal, because he was doing a lot of damage. It was just, you reach a point where the front line is so beefy for Beyond Reality that it's so hard for the Ezreal to actually find the damage on the back line. And I gotta say, thus far, ASBG, they're sticking with what they had previously, and I'm hoping to see a bit of a pivot here in the second half of pick and ban, because I feel like it is kind of a risk, especially with the Zilean now being available, because Auden retired. He played a great game on Lulu, but he is, to my knowledge, the best and the most comfortable on that Zilean, and you don't want to go into a long game with a scaling early carry, especially a Sivir here, against a Zilean, because that's going to feel really bad.
You talked about ASBG, how they're going to have to pivot away slightly. They're forced to pivot because of the Nico that's been banned away from them. One thing I'm interested in there was that they didn't show us the ADC during the last round of picks. They were waiting to save to see what they were going up against. In the end, deciding to go for the Kai'Sa, putting it up against the Sivir.
And I think the Tahm Kench first pick, I know that Hax is really confident with a champion, but it does kind of pigeonhole you now. We've already talked, both the teams like their scaling mid laners, but I do know that KRDCD also plays Lucian, and I kind of would have loved to see them go for an opposite direction, you know, pick the Lucian Brom lane, try to bully Sir Kemzo and Loco early on. And the Alistair ban, that's a really good one, because let's be honest, those engages that Loco was able to find consistently were really impressive.
They really, really were. We've got ourselves 3 more bans remaining. We can see that the side of ASBG, as we have a little bit of a remake, some issues during the lobby, so we'll bring you back into that one in just a moment. I'm sure the picks and bans will remain the same as we've seen them. We can see that the solo lanes haven't been picked up for ASBG. Wanting to see just which of those ones they decide to wait until later on. Obviously, they've already seen the Zilean, which is likely to be in the mid lane, so it makes sense to take the counter pick to that and then to keep your top laner blind, to see what J Park's going to pick up.
I think Zilean, if you don't punish him like early on or snowball really hard against him, he is such a terrible thing to play against, because he throws the bombs, he speeds away from you, and then once he has his ultimate, it feels like the amount of effort you need to take to actually take him down, the amount of lockdown you need, is just so hard to come by. And there's also something like a Tahm Kench. What he does is he's going to provide expert peel, but actual lockdown is going to be really hard for him. The Jarvan is there again, and I thought the Jarvan play was really good. The hard engage they were able to find were nice, but I think that what we're seeing now is just exactly similar paths being taken. We see a Protector AD carry comp, this time though with Zilean Sivir, which, if I'm honest, I thought that Sir Kemzo had a hard time, you know, last game, in being able to stay alive consistently against all the AoE burst. Sivir, you don't nearly have to worry about that as much, because Sivir is one of those picks that, as the game progresses, just stands in the backline, throws boomerang blades, and has a really, really easy time from there on out.
You were talking about TKO Survivor, how he was making the picks later on. Personally, I wanted to see a little bit more in terms of ganking early. I'm not blaming TKO Survivor for that, because his lanes were usually quite extended and there wasn't a huge amount he could do. Talking in regards to picking up the pressure onto Zillion pre-level 6, it feels very much so like the side of AGSB have the opportunity to try and use the Jarvan and whatever they secure in the mid lane to put that pressure on. I just kind of want to see more ganks early. Not a 15-minute first blood.
I agree with you, but I feel like it was also just Beyond Reality playing fairly well. And this is a thing that you kind of accept when you go. I think the Nico setup was the easiest, and I feel like the mid lane is really where you'd expect more to happen. But it is kind of hard to gank that Shen. And I think the Shen was actually one of the targets that if you wanted to go for something, it's either mid or bot, or mid or top, because bot lane is really hard to properly gank that Kai'Sa lane, right? Like, it's, especially with the Alistar, who's able to kind of deal with what the Jarvan throws at you, and more importantly, bot lane, you can't play around the bot lane with Tom Jezreel because they don't have CC, they don't have damage early on. There's just not much that they provide. We see the cannon ban there from Beyond Reality, quite like that for the dash get, a really good performance. And there were a couple of key moments, let's not forget, in this game where if it was actually a 5v5, I think AGSB would have got a huge lead in the early game, or in the mid game rather, and that might have really turned things around as we see the Lulu then come through here, just wanting to make sure that they don't have to deal with that again. Yeah,
it makes sense as a potential flex for Zillion. Could be support, could be mid, the same can be said for Lulu, so a completely sensible ban, especially as they've already taken that Alistar away, so already forcing Loco onto something new in this series. A moment or two ago on our little screen, we were able to see that lovely, lovely trophy that both of these teams are playing for. It's up there on the stage, and both of these teams are going to want to go and be able to take that back to their school's trophy cabinet, because how many schools have got a trophy in their trophy cabinet for esports? That's pretty damn cool.
And for all the players involved there as well, like, imagine the pressure of being on such a big stage here at Insomnia 64, like the amount of people watching, the atmosphere, as we see the Garen getting locked in there. And Garen has, I think, is one of the very few picks who has never in the history of competitive League of Legends been picked up. I know at least in LCK he hasn't been, and he's been on the receiving end of more and more buffs. He's actually a huge lane bully now. Pick him into the Maokai does kind of put a clock on you, because I think that Garen is going to do fun in the early mid game, and then late game is just going to be him being able to push and Maokai just being able to tank through it. If you fall behind, though, it's quite scary. Loving the Vladimir pickup here, though.
Real tilt in terms of the champion select here, the picks that are being made for both of the teams, the shift away from what had been done in the first game, the change of both the solo laners, the Vladimir and the Maokai opted in for AGSB. We're going to see the Garen and the Zillion for the side of Beyond Reality.
So, taking a look at these two comps, I think AGSB just effectively, let's be honest here, went for roughly the same comp. The really big difference is that instead of a carry top lane, you go for a Maokai. Considering the front line that they really didn't have last time, I don't mind it too much. I think that the cannon was a good pick, but it was banned away here. Otherwise, I would have liked if they went for that again. And the Vladimir, I hope we're going to see more damage coming out here, because last time the Nico, it did provide a lot of utility, but the Vladimir with the Hemo Plague is going to be able to set up these huge burst moments. It's going to scale a lot better as well in terms of how aggressive he's able to build while still being safe, because, you know, late game Vladimir feels very unfair to play against, and is also more of a hyper carry in late game than the Nico was. Then on the other end, it's Zillion, it's Civic. It's a protect the AD carry comp again, as opposed to a Shen, which does provide more for your carry specifically. You now have the added threat of a Garen who, don't be mistaken, if Garen ever gets ahead in this game, he is one of the most frustrating champions to play against. And the Tom Kench is going to help, but a big beefy Garen, you know, the Black Cleaver into something tanky is still going to be a nuisance for you to deal with.
I really like the AGSB changes personally. Having that extra bit of tankiness coming out of the Maokai that they really didn't have in the last game, I think that's going to prove massively useful to them. I also feel that what you were saying about Kennen not always being in some of the team fights, that gets changed around slightly. If the Maokai, you know, he's going to be forced to be there to tank up. He's not going to be off on his own doing his own thing. But my big change is that Vladimir. Nico, as the game went later on and AGSB fell behind, wasn't able to put the damage out. Vladimir, on the other hand, absolutely will be if he gets anywhere near the late game.
Yeah, and even then, with the, like, I think Zillion Civil late game is just, it's not as bad as Lulu, Alistar, what we had last time, and Shen as well.
The Shen's a big change.
The Shen made such a big difference, because every time you try to really go deep in on Kenzo, and it's also relieves a little bit of split push pressure, but every time you go in on Kenzo, there's also a, say what, 4-6 on the health, then United Shield, depending on how low he was on health. And now there's more threat, but there's less pressure in the top lane, at least. I do feel like, personally, I would have rather seen a Stein, which is also a really tanky pick, but his skill's a little bit better, and it has the added benefit of being really good hard engage. Well, with Maokai, maybe you can get a flash root off, and maybe your ultimate can catch someone, but it's not as nearly as reliable as an unstoppable onslaught right into 5 people.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations are massively due, not just to the team Beyond Reality picking up that first win, but to my man Chronicler, who got his first prediction right in a very, very long time.
Oh.
Big round of applause for Chronicler, everybody. Come on. Well done, Mal.
Oh, thank you. That warms my heart. I know my predictions have been on par thus far, and I'm going to say we're going to get a 2-0 here because I won a 1-1.
Okay, there we go.
I want to see a third game between these two teams. I think that...
Just as your curse has just died, you've decided to go, actually, I'm going to attempt the curse to try and get a best of 3.
Yeah.
I love you, Mal. So,
my best here.
Well, we are going to see whether or not these two teams are going to go to a third game as Beyond Reality look to close out the series. Again, jump on Twitter, please, and use that hashtag British Esports Champs tag. The more we can use that, the more we can get that rolling and find out just what all you wonderful people are thinking.
Going into this game, I think that, I hope at least, that AGSB doesn't let the last game get them down. They were so close to being able to crack that base, to get that win. They were able to get an inhibitor, and they were just one good team fight away from taking it. We're about to get into game here. Who do you, because we haven't asked about this yet, who do you think are going to win? Because I see, again, 2 hyper-scaling composition. I think Garen really falls off in the late game when he doesn't do damage anymore and he just kind of runs at people, and then he's Garen, so it doesn't do too much.
That one thing, the change of Shen to Garen, is why I'm going and putting my flag in the AGSB camp.
Okay, and let's hope that we don't see what happens to me a lot when I see a Garen in my team and he just runs at the enemy and then gets fed. And a fed Garen, let me tell you, is incredibly scary.
I'm glad that's not just me that happens to, because that is the one champion. You talk about our Yasuo
really
there, Yasuo.
He's playing Ignite Garen.
Of course he is. We talk about our Yasuo there, Yasuo, how you always have the terrible one on your team, the good one on theirs. Same's true for me and Garen.
Rayard, he's playing Ignite Garen.
Oh, right, okay, he's going to kill people. Cool.
That is not a thing that you're playing competitive. As he once again goes for the double Regie beat and start here. So he's also going fleet footwork as opposed to Conqueror. And I think Jay Park is just, yeah, he's knocking it out of the park here. I want to see those solo kills. I want to see him just completely walk over his opponent laner, because we're not going for Conqueror against the tank, but instead going for the extra sustain that's provided to you by fleet footwork. Is a gambit to me, and if it's going to work out or not remains to be seen. Alden retired here. Has the Glacial Augment as well.
You said the word gambit. It's the Time Lord Genji in the top lane. He's there with the new meta builds. Jay Park, he made himself a bit of a hero in the last game.
He really
He's trying to make himself a legend in this game.
If Beyond Reality win this with Ignite Fleet Footwork Garen, I'm going to be thoroughly impressed.
All right, we're going to see the nice, slow, steady start. No team looking for an invade. Both the junglers going to the bottom half of the map. We will see whether or not we get more plays. Of course, we have the same junglers last time. The Evelyn to the side of Beyond Reality, AGSB with their Jarvan. There were no real early ganks. A lot of pressure was put down by TKO Survivor onto Migsay last time. I want to see more out of those ganks still.
I think the big difference here is that there actually is a merit now into ganking top lane, because the Ignite makes you so susceptible to ganks. Garen in general has kind of an issue where, because he has no real mobility besides just running away from your opponent with your little speed up, it's really hard for you to get away from a rude knockup from the Jarvan Maokai. So I actually think that, especially without a teleport, if you can get the Garen behind early on, if you're able to knock Jay Park out, then unlike last game where he's Shen, you know, he's going to do whatever he's going to do regardless. You're not really going to be able to shut him down. He's going to do his thing. It's going to be incredibly tough to do that.
And if you force the Garen out of lane, he hasn't got the teleport because he's opted in for what you could call the Brave, you could call the greedy option of the Ignite. Really want to see just what the TKO Survivor can do in the top lane to make Jay Park's life hell.
I think is a lot better here, though, for Migsay, able to pick up the Scuttle Grab here on top side, as opposed to last time where TKO Survivor got a double Scuttle start, which is nice because you want to get the level 6 early. We saw last time as well, once he actually was able to get to that level 6, he was able to make some plays. No first blood till, I think it was, what, 10, 15 minutes last time?
It was a long time.
A really long time, wasn't it? And this time, with these hooks, as the flay unfortunately doesn't hit, we might be seeing something different. Love that they go here, and Loco actually, according to himself, he's the most comfortable here on the Thresh.
He's going for that one over the Alistair. His engages were very on point. Now we've got to see if his hooks are good. Based on what we've seen so far, he is 1 for 1.
And it's not too bad.
It's perfect.
It's really early in the game. I'll give it to him as we see a bomb drop down from T-Doggy. Vladimir, of course, not really a champion before you have max level and transfusion and a couple of items, but then once you reach that point, he is an absolute nuisance to play against. So much sustain, and the AoE damage, again, Hemo Plague layered on top of a Cataclysm is always going to remain scary.
Talked about summoners in the top lane, looking at the mid lane, Old and Retired goes for the safety of that barrier, whereas we can see that not only has Maokai gone for a teleport, but so has Vladimir, and so has Kai'Sa. That is the triple teleport team against a team without a single one.
That is crazy, but let's be honest, after the last game, which basically in a lot of cases, we see a hook hit here, but
100% record continues, Hex keeps getting caught, the Frog keeps getting pulled back, the damage put down onto Tom.
You know, he just shrugs it off, Stomp Canch, his Grey Elf just waddles away as he does.
I'd love to know which guy in the dev team came up with the bright idea of Grey Health. I really would.
I love it.
Stupid
you like
Mike.
it, wouldn't you? Grey Hard, Grey Health, something there. So we see actually a big wave, I wouldn't. A big wave being built up here, and I'd like to see J Park. Maybe does this one, he goes back and picks up his, I assume he's going to be a Phage, but maybe he's going to go for a different build as well. Loco stepping far forward here, but TKO Survivor looking for a gank.
There was a recall being channeled there by Mixay, but I think a bit of vision onto Jarvan let him know that the opposition jungle was here. We have the potential 3 versus 3 about to break out. Let's see whether the Flag and Drag is going to come in. Here comes the Jarvan, the nice Hex Tech skin. He dashes on forward, does not manage to get the knock up. The heal is used to get Loco to safety. Now the hook is going to land onto the Kai'Sa. The damage
Mixay's coming in
by Beyond Reality. Evelyn did not complete that recall and is now going to be able to join the fight. The flash forward used by Sir Kemzo trying to get the first kill. The Devour used by Hex. He's not got a flash available himself. He's got to be so very, very careful as the ricochets go down. But everybody lives again. What is it about these early games?
We saw this last time.
Give me kills!
Both of these two teams are really happy to disengage, rather going for the safer option than trying to force something and get a big play going. And we see now Dashki does have to back here, and this is going to further exacerbate the CS advantage that we see for J Park, who can stay in lane for a lot longer because he's resourceless and he has a ton of sustain. The teleport is going to alleviate that a little bit, but that means that you do lose a lot of pressure here. So I'm interested to see whether or not Dashki is going to walk back to his lane, and it looks like that is what he will be doing, meaning that we're going to see J Park get even further ahead.
Oh, that's the first hook that we've seen missing from Loco. On the back of that fight in the bot lane, there is only the one summoner spell remaining, and that is the Exhaust for Loco.
And I think that is something that is kind of interesting to me. Going for the Exhaust there. I would have not minded the Ignite. I would have definitely landed them a kill there, instead going for the safer option. And I think that what both these teams are really showing here is that neither of them like that aggressive style, as I think Mixer might be dead here. The pop is not enough. And nice play though there by T-Doggy. I like that aggressive approach.
The flash, the Hemo Plague, still not enough to secure an early first blood in this series. Old and Retired is going to come back into lane and find out that T-Doggy, well, he's not got a flash to trouble him.
And that's quite good, especially once you're able to maybe get a charm off. Of course, with the pull, it's actually kind of hard to lock Vladimir down. And the first dragon of the game here will be in Mountain Dragon this time. And we saw last game what a Kai'Sa can do when they find a Mountain Dragon. And that's really what AGSB is going to be looking for.
All right, just a nice, slow and easy start. The hook is going to land. Kai'Sa, who is summonerless, gets devoured by the Tahm Kench. The chase is on, so Kemzo picks up a nice easy minion, not able to catch any more onto the Kai'Sa, but the danger is clearly there, and Loco showing his comfort on the Thresh.
It's the so you have Zilean and Tahm Kench. I'm really happy they're on the same team, because that would be even more atrocious to play.
Oh my God.
Both of these picks are so good at negating aggression and trying to alleviate the pressure from plays. And we see Loco again looking for a hook. Survivor is making his way down the bot lane, and Old and Retired of all people is hiding in a brush.
And Mixay still not having hit level 6, hasn't got the invisibility available, but is going to start walking towards the Krugs, trying to get that ultimate and also the extra passive in for Eve, which is so very crucial to her kit.
And as TKO Survivor is going for the bot side vision there, we see J Park really putting the pressure that I kind of wanted to see from the Garen here, finding it 20 CS up, and I think that's only going to get better and better, because we're quite far off from a point where Maokai can just shrug off all the damage.
J4's shown himself in the bot lane, done a little bit more than in the last game early on. However, I'm slightly disappointed not to have seen him putting pressure onto that teleportless J Park.
We see J Park making his way towards the scuttle, and he needs to be careful. Hasn't spotted him yet. There's a vision wall there, and a flank might be set up, but Dashki isn't going for him.
Alden Retired decides not to blow the flash, not to blow the barrier, instead using the lower cooldown that is his ultimate, and that's going to keep Zilean alive. Still, guess what, Mal? No first blood.
Wow, we're about to approach 10 minutes as J Park is going to make a play here. Doesn't want to take the risk, and I respect that. Although the Hema play is not yet available, but they still don't feel comfortable, and I understand because Mixay is still just a little bit off from the Runic Echoes. Once that is available, I think that they actually can go for a 3v3 here if they're confident. And the bot lane, Loco and Sokamzo doing a great job thus far at keeping KR, DCD and Hax underneath the turret.
T-Doggy is showing everything that I really hate about Vladimir and what makes him good. This is someone who's got a Doran Shield, a Kindle Gem, and just the amplifying tone for damage, but he's still able to put so much harassment down, almost picking up that first blood onto Mixer with the ultimate. And it's just what Vladimir does, and he only gets worse as the damage comes in later on into the game.
And just the Kindle Gem now is already enough to do a little bit. But let's not forget, Alden Retired. Actually, the Zillion Bomb is going to do a lot of damage. There's a lot of reliable CC as a hook. Unfortunately,
Fresh guard.
Yeah, everyone hits a minion sometime.
I hit minions a lot. Not when I meant to either.
I understand, but that's why you're not in the finals here.
That's why I don't play Thresh.
Good call.
Really good call. So we are now approaching 10 minutes for what is now the third out of 4 games. No first blood is going to happen before the minute timer hits double digits, unless Garen has something to say about it. Meanwhile, here comes Mixer. He's got the ultimate available. He's dashing himself forward. The pool is not yet used, and that's an easy Widowmaker. It was pre-10 minutes, Mal. I love it.
10 seconds just before the timer, and the CC layering there, the charm into the double bomb, nothing that you can do there as T-Doggy, and a first blood here for Mixer, who we've seen can find these assassinations. Great start here for Real Reality.
Hook starting to land again, this one onto Tom Kench, but that's going to be Kaiser stepping forward, getting a bit of damage back on as the tongue lash is going to hit Kenzo. Really even trades going down in the bottom lane. It is going to be Kaiser who's consistently being forced back a little bit more onto her turret. The difference between the BF sword and obviously the what is the item for the
Kira Shard?
That's the one, that shard. That one. I knew.
Yeah, no, big difference.
Big difference.
In terms of auto damage and how much is going to hurt you once you try and go for these trades, and Sukam's already in a relatively comfortable spot. Of course, Sivir takes a while to ramp up. I'd also like to draw attention here that J Park completely disregards normal Garen builds and goes for a Black Cleaver first, but instead has picked up a Joram's Fist. So I assume he's going to go for Titanic Hydra first, which I've never seen, but then again, I've also never seen Fleet Forward Knight Garen, so he might be onto something
There's
here.
potential for Steric's Gauge as well, I suppose, but having shown what he could do with the Titanic in the last game on Shen, it wouldn't be entirely surprising to see this build. With that phage completed, I think we might have a bit of an idea of what he's going towards. Nope, no I haven't.
So now he goes for Phage again, and I'm thoroughly confused, just like Joram's Fist, I guess.
The box is put down by Thresh, the jump forward, Sivir uses a nice bit of execute damage, picking up her first kill of the game.
And now Mixay able to pick up a second kill here. 2-0 currently for Beyond Reality, already looking a lot more comfortable than they were last game. And the Mountain Dragon, not only are they looking to pick it up here, if they're able to, they're also denying it to KR DCD.
One of the big things that actually worked out for AGSB in the early game last time was the fact they were able to get the pressure, all the early objectives. By this point, they'd already taken the Herald, they'd taken themselves a Dragon or two. The first objective, neutral as it is, of this game is going to go over to Beyond Reality, completely uncontested.
And the pressure from Garen, 20 CS is not too much. I don't think he's even used his Ignite yet. But J Park going to be able to pick up a couple more plates now with the Mountain Dragon. That's going to go a little bit easy as well. Of course, he's not running Grasp, so he also doesn't have Demolish procs available to himself. So it's actually going to take him quite a while to get to. And now we see Tico Survivor. I thought he was going to move towards topside, but it also feels like he's a little bit more scared to make some plays. It will be committing to that now. And J Park does have the flash, but of course, I guess senses it, and take a Survivor. Not finding anything in this game yet.
So many hooks landing. Plague going to pull Hex back very, very slightly, but able to stay strong using the shield from the Grey Health. It's actually Thresh who takes the worst of the trades, having to back away very, very slightly as we see Kaiser picking up yet more CS underneath the turret. Herald is available. So far, there's only been one turret plate being taken all the way across the map. Turret plate is going to be falling off very, very shortly. Do we have any reason to believe we might see some of those turret plates being forced before 14 minutes, or even attention towards the Herald?
I'm hoping we'll see some attention towards the Herald. I think it's already too late unless you now go immediately for Herald and then drop it down somewhere, which I don't know if that's an avenue you want to take. And Mixa, of course, playing as an Evelynn is so nerve-wracking because you never really know where she is, you never know what's going on, and she can punish you so incredibly easily. And I would like to see some bot lane plays being picked up because Camzo and Loka actually have been able to consistently push in, but they haven't really been able to capitalize on that.
Here comes the Evelynn, the Flay not quite connecting, neither does the hook, and that's going to be Mixe just stepping away again as we do see Tahm Kench and Kai'Sa feeling safe. I don't think they know the Eve is here. The ward is going to go down, not spotting Eve out. She is completely camouflaged. Meanwhile, the continued push coming in as the turret plating falls off in 30 seconds. No extra gold is to be had.
Takes Survivor making his way. There's no teleport available. Don't forget this, so a play here might actually work out really well for a GSB Esports.
Here comes TKO Survivor, the flag, the drag, the knockup onto the Thresh, flashing away from the plasma. We got caught by the plasma, caught by the Cataclysm. TKO Survivor picking up 1 kill. Evelynn is lurking the wings, potentially trying to get some kind of call. The teleport came in from Maokai, helping to secure that one. Not entirely sure why. It leaves Garen completely on his own, taking down a couple of turret plates in the top lane. It was just the 1 kill. It was probably worth it for AGSB, who needed to get something going, but maybe not the teleport.
That teleport investment, though, turns this from a really nice play and a great catch there on Loco, though the Flay tried his best to make it work, into what is going to be losing first turret blood, because this is a full health turret. Yes, the platings have dropped, so they're going to chew through it, but J Park already knocked his down, and that's because of that teleport.
And he got himself a few plates as well before the 14-minute timer had gone over.
He's going to get damage on the inner as well, and it's not just that. It's the experience. It's the amount that he's now 30 CS up on his opponents, and Dashki is going to have, now still has the Sunfire Gate, but I think as soon as the Black Cleaver is finished, J Park is going to have a great time.
Oh no, Miske getting very much so caught out, using the Widowmaker to try to jump back. He's got the Zillion ultimate on top of him, but flashes himself away. Thresh putting the box down, trying to get his team to safety. He's definitely going to be the sacrificial lamb. Loco going down to KRDCD, in dashes Dashki, trying to get more. It's going to be Maokai tanking things up. 2 kills picked up for ASBG Esports. They take the kill lead.
And just greedy play here from Beyond Reality. You're not hitting your item spikes yet. You don't really want, especially considering the fact that you've just had a really nice play, don't want to overcommit here, and they're going to give a couple of kills for that, and the bot lane turret, so that means that their slightly gold they were able to build up off the back of those previous plays is going to be negated somewhat. I think that in a straight up 5v5 scenario, we're going to see a similar pattern to last time, where it is all about Sir Camzo. J Park, with how strong he currently is, the big lead that he has, is going to have a big impact, but there's going to reach a point, and let's be honest, with the pace of the game thus far, those glacial augments are also kind of how the game feels at the moment in terms of pace. It's just going to take so long, and J Park says, slow pace?
Garen goes for the flash, goes for the ignite, the Demacian Justice rains down from above, a sword through the head of Vladimir, a kill for Garen.
It was very easy. He made it. This is why you go fleet forward, I guess, so you always catch up to the Vladimir. And this is the kind of things that you need, J Park. Now, going back with a kill, his back is going to be huge, and Dashki thus far has been able to really hold his own. Don't think that's going to be the case. And we see that is, in fact, Triforce Garen.
Of course it is.
Black Cleave. Yeah, why would you not?
I love it so much.
He's really... So I was expecting, because I was talking about this, I was expecting, Black Cleave into tanky build Garen, but instead, it looks like J Park is actually going for a really aggressive Garen. I assume that we're going to still see, the Sterak's Gage getting bought as opposed to what initially I thought was going to be a Titanic Hydra. I mean, I might still go for that. I don't feel comfortable anymore trying to predict what J Park is going to go for, but it's working out so well.
Loco doesn't quite get the fillet. The teleports twin as they are coming in. That's going to be Tahm Kench also joining the party. J4 is here. Here is the Vladimir, but they get nothing. Beautiful disengage from Beyond Reality. It looked like they'd gone deep, but they get out with not even giving a single kill or damage to turret away.
Yeah, lovely play there, and it's just all done retired, speeding up Loco so much that the teleport there gets forced from T-Doggy. Loco, I don't know where you would go for the hook there, because you're never ever going to follow that up, but just tries and go for it. The Essence Reaver first here on the Sivir as well, which is something that we've been seeing more and more. It's also interesting to note that T-Doggy goes for aggressive play there, but what I wanted to say, KRDCD has the Storm Razor here, and the Flash is forced in a 4v3 scenario.
And meanwhile, J Park is just having the time of his life up in the top lane, knowing there is nothing the tree can do to him right now.
No, because what are you going to do? It's Triforce Garen.
What's he going to do, bark at him?
Yeah, I mean, that would work. Yeah, no, I understand. Bark because he's a tree. It's okay. It's not as good as the Greyheart joke. I've got to be honest with you, Stan. Come on, be level here.
Okay, I'll try and do better. I'm sorry, Mal.
You're usually so on the ball with the puns.
It's never a good feeling when your producer makes a better joke in your ear than you just made on stream. Meanwhile, Dragon is going to get picked up. That's a Cloud Dragon going over to Beyond Reality. Mixay, who's only been involved so far in 2 of the 3 kills, I say only, that's still decent 60%, does manage to get a second objective.
Okay,
now
yeah,
manages,
walk on top of it.
wants to do even more, gets the pool out of the Vladimir. The Flag and Dragon, the Cataclysm are there. Shield is not enough from the Fresh Lantern to save Mixay, and just after he takes Dragon, he gives away his life.
Really unfortunate there, just ran the corner, T-Doggy immediately throws under Hema play, come on with the knock-up, more than enough to take him down. And we're still seeing a little bit of these mistakes, and here again, Sir Kenzo, I don't think you're getting out of there even with the resurrect.
He's not quite got the flash available, but he's got himself a Lantern, and that's going to be AGSB really respecting the Zillion ult on top of Sir Kenzo, not wanting to get caught out by any of the CC that Thresh and Zillion can put down. The pressure that this 3-man group is able to put down in bot lane is going to lead to a turret for Beyond Reality.
You know what I respect? If as Sir Kenzo you say, I'm no need boots, I'm just going to go Essence Reaver into BF Sword, because I want the maximum amount of damage I can do. To be fair, you have the Zillion on your team, and Alden Retired has not been spending a lot of time mid lane, he's mainly been bot lane, so you can just speed him up through that, you know, you have the boots there. Zillion.
Meanwhile, we turn to Jay Park. He's now got himself nearly a 60 CS lead. We had a discussion recently in regards to a Flame Horizon. You were saying it's just a 100 CS advantage. I think it has to be in lane. I don't remember the last time since the meta shifted that we actually had a 100 CS lead in lane. Jay Park is getting close.
He really is, and there's nothing that Dashki can do. This is kind of what you do as Maokai. You just, well, you know, you're ahead in lane. That is unfortunate. Jungler can't really do anything because, let's be honest, TKO Survivor, again, because this is something that I wanted to draw attention to previously as well. He's been going for such a team-oriented build in both of these 2 games. Last time went for the exact same build, just trying to focus on Survivor, going for the Cinderhulk as opposed to the Warriors, not building a Black Cleaver, not building a GA.
Mixay looking for the charm, managing to get it onto the Kai'Sa, not able to get away from the kill. Not quite able to be picked up because the flash into the Devour is good. So much damage whipping there from Beyond Reality, who don't get that one. They do get themselves a turret in the mid lane, however, securing the final of those outer turrets. Now the Flay onto the Vladimir. He uses the pull, but he gets caught by the hook straight out of it. Where's the damage follow-up, though? The Flag and Drag in from TKO Survivor is slightly overzealous. He's going to have to step away from this one. The Flay's going to land. Mixay's going to get the last of the damage onto the Vladimir, picking up a nice, easy kill. Meanwhile, another turret will fall. Sivir continuing the push in the bot lane, and now there are 4 strong for Beyond Reality, looking for yet another, trying to make it 5 turrets to 0 in this game.
And Mixay, unfortunately missing his ultimate there, but then following up with a nice charm on T-Doggy, ensuring that this push can still continue. They don't have their prime turret pusher with that though. So Kenzo has no comeback and said, well, I guess I do need Berserker Greaves. Kind of want those, even though Zoe, because Alden Retired, you know, he's using his entire mana pool just to keep the rest of his team alive. And here he is.
My favourite person to talk about in this series has been Jay Park, pretty much from game 1, if I'm perfectly honest.
It's Fleet Footwork, Ignite Garen.
He's playing a completely different style to the Shen in the last game. He was so tanky, and the plays he made, he absorbed damage for days and died in so few of the fights. He's gone for a complete flip on that. He's gone for the damage. Of course, there's a little bit of an tankiness in the Garen anyway, but I want to see how he does when we actually get ourselves into some fights later on. If we have a 5v5, can he keep himself alive long enough to inflict the damage from that Triforce?
I really don't want to see a 5v5 from Real Reality. Like you may eventually, you may eventually do that when, you know, Garen isn't going to be able to hold himself in a 1v1 anymore, as we now see the Starus Gauge and
when's that
the threats coming through. Well, the problem is, like, honestly, Garen at one point and another is just not going to be able to push reliably enough against the Maokai. I think that we're still at the point where you can dive him if we see an overstep coming through. More importantly, you don't want to team fight with Garen, like, especially with a build that you've gone for here, where you're really focused on damage. There's so much upfront stuff happening, and you're fighting against Vladimir, you're fighting against the Jarvan. It's not really what you want to go for. Fortunately for Beyond Reality, the amount of split push pressure they have is absolutely incredible, and now I want to see them turn that into some Baron plays. The big problem is, though, they don't have a Kai'Sa. Instead, they have the Sivir, who's still stuck on one item. Is going to be hitting something else rather soon, but it's just going to be so much slower. The Mountain Dragon helps a little bit, though.
Let us not forget, though, that our last game was a near 40-minute epic of a contest.
Probably like halfway done by now.
Exactly. We could just be halfway there. Power spikes are still to be hit for AGSB, but if this game continues to go longer and they manage to continue the de-pushing that they are doing, they stop Beyond Reality from continuing to grow this 4K gold lead that they have, they can still become exceptionally relevant. But it's so hard when you've got a Garen knocking on your base gates.
It's not just the Garen, it's the added fact that Mixay is providing so much threat in the form of the Evelyn, because they haven't been able to really track her. There's limited vision, as the next Dragon will be taken here by Beyond Reality. Don't really see a way that AGSB can contest it. And because of that, you can't really pile upon the Garen as you would normally do, right? They will be setting up a trap here, though, for Alden Retire, but he's a tough target to get to.
He is so speedy, easily going to get himself out of dodge.
Infernal Dragon.
As an Infernal Dragon is just picked up completely uncontested. Realistically, there's no way AGSB could have done that, but in terms of luck and RNG right now, that's the worst thing they could have possibly had, apart from maybe a second Mountain Dragon.
I think a second Mountain Dragon would have been the best here for Beyond Reality, as it does kind of alleviate the issue of you not being amazing at taking objectives.
Folks going to land boxes put down. In comes the Jarvan. Kaiser is here. We saw a plasma flying through, managing to get a little bit of a clip onto the Evelyn. Not enough to get a kill, but enough to disengage. Tahm Kench, he's mighty good at staying alive, isn't he?
That's what he does, you know. The goal for AGSB is as well is just try and get a situation where you can force 5v5 fights, where you can force these brawls. But with the goal deficit that they're currently at, I do feel like they need a really good team fight as well, which is something that I don't know if they're going to get.
Oh, this is Alden Retired baiting things out of T-Doggy. The flash is going to come in, dodging himself away from the hook. He's able to get himself to safety using that Hex Tech at the end. But now here comes the Tahm Kench. The re-engage is going to come in as AGSB look to get themselves some kills on the ball. Kaiser using that killer instinct, but it is she who has been killed. It's Mixay picking up one. Here comes the continued flank though, because the rest of AGSB have arrived and they are cleaning shop. We've got Maokai with a kill onto the Zillion and onto the Sivir. Vladimir drops down the Fresh. It is going to be a 3-for-1 in favor of the AGSB esports team.
A little bit of an overextension there, not really respecting the fact that you're facing a Vladimir, you're facing a really good team fight comp, you don't have literally your strongest member there with you, he doesn't have teleport, he has Ignite, and I think that the call there to both go for a re-engage, an extended engage after you've already killed the Kai'Sa, and in conjunction to that sending Garen off to a side lane trying to get an inhibitor were fairly risky calls that didn't work out, and because of that we see that AGSB esports now only at just barely a 3.5k gold deficit are trying to claw their way back into this game, and these are the team fights that you're looking for. You need to get continuous team fights, and more importantly you need to do it before Sir Kemzo hits a third item, because he didn't have an IE in that fight. He does now. This is still manageable, but if he gets a next item, I think you're not going to be winning these fights anymore.
We just saw my biggest scare for Beyond Reality in this game. You talked about how you didn't want to see the split push stopping from Garen, but if he's not in fights and this keeps happening, I have concerns. Shen joining with Stand United or Teleport was one of the big saving graces for Beyond Reality last time. That can't happen now. And if the forced fights keep coming from AGSB, as Tahm Kench finds the picks with the Abyssal Voyage, Jarvan jumps in with the Cataclysm and you can't disengage, you end up having to give away 4 kills for maybe a bit of split pushing pressure. And this isn't like a Yorick who's just going to batter down turrets really quickly. Okay, it's a Trinity Force on the Garen, but I don't think that's enough.
I mean, it helps. Surprisingly enough, I actually think that if you want to really go for like pure split push, it makes sense. What I'd rather like to see is Beyond Reality get another Mountain Dragon or some additional damage on your Sivir, then just take a Baron, because you are actually really good at sieging, you're good at disengaging, and if Garen draws attention, because let's be honest, you need 2 people to deal with him, then they're going to be able to get turrets like this fairly easily.
Minute 26 update, that Joram's Fist has been converted into a Sterix Gauge, so now an extra bit of damage, an extra bit of tankiness, and J Park has joined the rest of his team as they look to try and take a fight. It's going to be the jump in, but Cataclysm is not going to help TKO Survivor at all. This is now a 5 versus 4 to Beyond Reality have the damage to pick themselves even more of the base up. They've already got 4 kills, only 1 has gone down in return, and Maokai has got absolutely nothing left. He's not going to be able to defend. The question is, where's the minion wave? What will Beyond Reality be able to get on the back of an easily won team fight?
And that's an ace, like out of nowhere seemingly, and the call there was AGSB Esports not all on the same page. We saw TKO Survivor go for a really deep hard engage without the follow-up of a Hemoblade right from the get-go.
6 seconds left on TKO Survivor coming back in, 9 seconds for the Kaiser, and this is why we see Beyond Reality not going for the Nexus turrets, instead turning their attention straight to the bottom lane where they can get themselves a second inhibitor turret. They're not going to get the second inhib though.
That's risky though, with the Abyssal Voyage available, Kaiser jumping with a Killer Instinct, and T-Doggy and TKO Survivor being there. But with an inhibitor down, a lot of damage on the bot one, it is going to be fairly easy for you to set up a nice Baron play here. And ASBG Esports can't afford to get a fight like this again. Now they're at a really big goal deficit. The only person who was picked up there was Mixay after he'd already executed a member and done all of his bursts, so you're not even too sad about that. And Jay Park is an absolute menace here. There we go. Gets a Guardian Angel as well. Hasn't needed it yet, but it's going to put even more pressure on him because he can just go in with reckless abandon, jump on top of KRDCD, live through the entirety of Hex's Devour, and then still find a way to kill him. And ASBG, they still have a way back into this game. They have an amazing team fight, but that Cataclysm and that Hemo Plague, they need to hit at the same time. And
more importantly, it felt to me like it was the wrong time for Jav. This was one of the first times we actually saw Garen with the team, and that's the moment that we see the Cataclysm, and all of a sudden it was a, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me. A second Infernal Dragon arrives to even further boost the damage of all these carries.
And it's going to be really hard for you now to... It gets increasingly harder. Static Shiv now also finished. Onso Kenzo was able to pick up a triple kill on that fight. And Jay Park, you can tag him, but look at how many members they need. And we see things going down towards the Baron. That's completely justified. You've just finished your third item. You have double Infernal and a Mountain Dragon. I think beyond reality, if they play this that well, it's going to be so hard for ASBG, who need to find perfect team fight in the choke. Then they can do this because the execution has been clean in previous team fights. They're just going to do the Baron here on top of Vision, and there's nothing that ASBG can do.
Keywords there, on top of Vision. They know that there are 4 members committed, and they can't contest the Baron, so instead they try and get Garen. And you know what? They don't get Garen or the Baron. No, nothing for ASBG Esports. A free $5 for Beyond Reality.
No Garen, no Baron. It's just incredibly hard for ASBG to do something here. And KRDCD is also, we haven't really talked about him that much yet. He has been hitting the power spikes, but it just hasn't really worked out for him yet. And there is so much threat here, because that's something that's kind of different. I feel like last time, there was really only the threat of the Shen, who was playing the Ezreal as well, where you have so much more survivability, but now you only really have Hex and the Killer Instinct shield to keep you alive, while there's a Garen that is so terrifying. He has the Elixir ready, and Beyond Reality, with the Baron buff now, are looking to close out this game here.
And now they have so very much pressure. If the split push wasn't a problem before, it very definitely is now. The GA Trinity Force Garen with a Baron buff on his head is just running down the bot lane, walking his way over to that exposed inhibitor, while the remaining 4 members also have the Baron, are looking to crack that final inhibitor turret. So little of the ASBG base remains.
And Garen is just going to get that inhibitor. There's nothing you can do about it. And now the question is, how well is ASBG going to respond to the push coming out here?
Second inhibitor is going to go now with only 1 inhibitor remaining. Surely ASBG have to do something.
Makes its way to the top side.
Already lost the inhibitor turret. The final inhibitor is taking hits. It feels like ASBG have decided that they want to make their last stand at the Nexus turrets.
And this is all or nothing here. Are we going to see Beyond Reality take the win against ASBG Esports? Had such a good game one, and it was such a clutch game. It was almost 45 minutes. We're now at 30, and we might have a final team fight on our hand here.
Damage onto both of the Nexus turrets. The hook is going to land onto Jarvan. TKO Survivor. He is not going to survive that one. Sir Kemzo has got 1 kill, and now with a 5 versus 4, with super minions crashing onto the base, Beyond Reality look to try and clutch the championship. In goes KRDCD, and he's gone. It's gonna be the team of Beyond Reality taking this game. Jay has knocked it out of the park for Beyond Reality, and the Cardinal Vaughan Memorial School will be taking home the trophy. British Esports Schools champions in a 2-0 win.
What a performance that, and after a game number 1 where it felt like either team could really make it work, and look at those guys, they must be overjoyed. Winners of Season 1 and now winners of the Grand Finals.
They rightly so take the applause from the crowd here at Insomnia 64. What a wonderful performance coming in from Beyond Reality. They took the Garen Ignite top lane and they made a legend out of Jay Park.
So well, like I saw that coming out, but I was talking to these guys before. I said, you know, we're talking about Garen. I was like, Garen is actually really strong after he's received all these buffs. Like, I don't think at the highest level he's viable, but he is a really strong laner. They're like, yeah, maybe Garen, maybe Teemo.
We have got ourselves an opportunity to have a look at the replays from that tournament winning game for Beyond Reality.
As here we see, and this is where it all went wrong. Here the gold lead is still surmountable, but Take Your Survivor wanting to go in there, seeing an opportunity, but the rest of his team not ready to follow up.
Yeah, it was just one of those moments where Jarvan kind of went in and then went, no, but it was too late for him, and it was really too late for the team at that point.
And from here on out, we just saw a clean play. The mid lane inhibitor getting taken, the bot lane turret getting taken down. And then afterwards, it was just an open base, which means that Jay Park on his own can't really dive the Maokai, and it was never really a possibility. But if you just leave him alone, if there's no turret there, and it's just him against Dashki, there's nothing that the Maokai could do. And we saw them make excellent use of the pressure, and just beyond reality, I feel like the second game was also a lot cleaner. Although AGSB Esports, has to be said, a really solid performance. I felt like they were so close in game number 1, but in game number 2, they kind of went for the same general game plan. And beyond reality, the first time they're kind of a hard time dealing with it, but the second time, much easier.
Yes, massive credit to AGSB who have come. They've played on stage possibly for the first time for some of these players coming in from the school, and they've really put in a good showing at the end of the day, though. Beyond reality, they were the champions. And the real question now, Mal, your opportunity to give an MVP for this tournament.
That's a really hard call for me. The composition would require me to go for Sir Kemzo, because he's really been the one who's been able to consistently dish out damage, right? And is able to just blow everyone up, as we see here. But I kind of want to go with Jay Park. I feel like his Shen, while shaky at times, hit some key taunts. He was able to consistently upper pressure. And I think that his Garen in this game was one of the main reasons why they were able to do so much. So it's going to go to Jay Park. And I mean, it's Ignite, Fleet Footwork, Garen. How can I not give it to that?
Not just Fleet Footwork, Garen. Fleet Footwork,
Triforce.
Ignite, Triforce,
yeah,
Garen.
Forgot about the Triforce. So much to keep track of there.
Absolutely incredible scene. So your MVP for this game is indeed going to be Jay Park, and you have got a small prize coming your way, courtesy of, you know, your friendly League of Legends casters. We're going to pass over now to the main man on the main stage. It's Abominable.